So one of the most important things in street photography is pressing the shutter. You should not forget this in case you want to make a photo. Alright, this was the only tip you need. See you in the next video. Well, just pressing the shutter sounds pretty obvious, right? But the question is, how do you release the shutter? Hidden or open, from the hip or through the viewfinder right before your eyes. There are pros and cons for every approach. Hi, I am Oliver, and in this video I'll give you tips on how to get the camera into the right position automatically when you are shooting, and why you should perhaps get out of the habit of taking photos from the hip. Although it's quite popular with street photographers, I'll tell you why it actually tends to ruin your street photography. Welcome to 3 ways to take a street photo. I am just back from Lisbon, where you are seeing this beautiful footage from in this video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like that, and leave a like if you like. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you in advance. Now let's dive straight in. In my opinion, the most overrated way to take photos on the street is to shoot from the hip. So, without looking through the viewfinder or at the screen, just blindly hoping that a good photo will come out. To me, it's a bit like a gamble. You can win, but most of the time you won't succeed. Although some photographers swear by it, and certainly a few get good or some even great results, I don't think this approach is suitable for about 80 to 90% of street photographers. At least that's my opinion. Please correct me in the comments if I am wrong. So, but why? Well, I think it's the wrong approach for most people because it raises the threshold for a conscious composition of your photo. You can see me trying this approach in Lisbon right here. While I'm looking on my phone, nobody will think I'm taking a photo. So the question is, why do we decide to shoot from the hip so completely without seeing what we are doing? I think most of the time it's because we find a certain character interesting for a photo, but at the same time we are a little intimidated or afraid of being approached by this person. Hey, did you take my photo? So we decide we'd rather take a photo that has a very small chance of being well composed and capturing the person fully than not take a photo at all. But what does that lead to? We will certainly take 1 or 2 good photos with this method. I think the calculation in our head is, now I have 1 or some more good photos where I wouldn't have gotten even 1 before. But this calculation is wrong, as we now unconsciously increase our threshold for raising the camera to our eyes when taking photos. At some point, we'll also take photos of people from the hip we might have photographed without any problems 1 or 2 years ago. But there are 2 methods I recommend for street photography. One for situations where you don't want to be discovered or approached, and one where you might even want to provoke a reaction. The one method I really like, as you may have already seen in one of my videos, is using the screen of the camera. I am doing this if I want a lower camera position or if I want to act more inconspicuous. By looking at the screen and not through the viewfinder, most people don't get the idea that I'm taking a photo. It just seems I'm looking at photos I've already made. Normally, people don't want to disturb you doing your creative things and just leave you alone. If I want to get closer to certain situations or people, I use the following trick. I pretend I'm recording a video and look at the buildings surrounding the situation, not at the people I'm photographing. The obvious thought of average people seeing me doing this is that I'm recording a video of this specific place. Since street photos are usually taken in city centers where there are also many tourists, this is very credible for most people. Because I can see what I'm photographing, I can select the frame I need for the desired composition. The success rate is therefore much higher than when shooting from the hip. At the same time, I attract virtually no attention and I can see what is going on around me. For example, when someone is walking in my frame from behind and I see the person in a window as a reflection, but a few seconds in advance before he will walk into my frame. But there are also situations in which you deliberately want to be seen or need to raise the camera to your eyes for other reasons. For example, to block the sun like me here in Lisbon. I also tend to look through the viewfinder when I see people who look friendly and approachable, or at carnivals or events. For those of you who are a little introverted, I would like to describe another amazing effect of taking photos with the viewfinder. You might think that this kind of photography is too direct for somewhat shy people. But for me, however, it has the effect that I see everything in the viewfinder a bit like in a movie, and the camera acts as a small protective barrier, so to speak, between my eyes and the people I'm photographing. This means that I'm more confident to get closer or even to give a few slightly exaggerated compliments to make the people I'm shooting laugh. But not only if you want to provoke reactions, even if you want to compose very precisely, shooting with a viewfinder is better than with a screen. During the day, the contrast on the screen is usually reduced, or you can't see everything as well as you need to due to reflections. The viewfinder eliminates all that. Well, I think photos always look a bit too polished on a digital viewfinder. That's really strange, but the good thing is you can definitely see composition and details better, which is, well, pretty helpful. So, I would advise you to only use shooting from the hip in absolutely exceptional cases. If you don't want to be spotted, to use the screen of your camera, and if it's okay for the subject to react, to look through the viewfinder. The viewfinder should also be your first choice for compositions where every detail is important. I hope that helps. Now I'm looking forward to your experiences. See you in the next video.